All right, so this week we have gone over what to do when our opponent steps up with one leg. We've been working on what to do when they're down with two knees, okay? And yes, most people standing pass, but eventually our leg locks and our threatening of our sweeps is going to force people down to their knees, or they will feel that that's the best way to pass. So do not forget that. We're always going to be addressing the prior grip exchanges that we've been doing up to this point, okay? But whenever I'm grip fighting and I see my opponent step up on one leg, okay, that's usually a sign that they're going to be standing passing. It's a great opportunity to go into the legs when we're into here, okay? So one thing I want you to do is I want you to double up with two arms. Instead of just grabbing one arm and scoot underneath, I want you to do two, okay? And remember, we're no gi. Things are slippery, okay? So don't just grab with your hands and your fingers. Do like a false grip, which is essentially going palm deep and grabbing here. And what this actually does is it will allow you to grab ligaments, okay? Which makes it easier to grab when he's slipping, okay? So the cross arm is going to go deep behind the knee. The same side arm is going to go anywhere from the lower calf to the ankle, okay? This is essentially working as a stopper. So pull your elbows in tight. I'm pulling his knee into my chest and scooting underneath till my knee wedges behind his knee. I'm pulling his knee towards me and bringing my knee to my chest, okay? As you see, this puts this in a 90-degree angle, almost like a Kimura, okay? Now remember, if his knee's facing me, he can pressure into me, so keep this grip for now. I want this knee on the outside of his leg. This knee's not out of the way here because he can pressure into you. So I'm gonna have it at his stomach so it somewhat works as a frame, okay? Now we're gonna go to single leg X, all right? To do that, you can do knee to the chest and pummel your heel to the hip, okay? If you're trying that and you're having difficulty, you put this same foot to the mat. We shrimp our hips away, rotating our hips and knees towards the mat, and that gives us the mobility that we need to get to this position here, okay? After we get to single leg X, I'm gonna be using this foot on the far hip to keep me turning down towards the mat. Same as our X guard techniques as before. I never want my hips facing towards the ceiling because Joel can start to pressure into me. He's gonna grab my collar tie, which we'll go over here in a moment, and he's gonna be crowding me. But literally, as soon as I am turning down here, trying to pressure into me, it's very difficult, okay? As you see, it misdirects his knee, and he can go to where his knee is, okay? If it's here, he can essentially lunge towards me. If it's here, it's gonna be very difficult. He's gonna be more twisted up, okay? Once we get to this position, I want to shelf the leg and get to X guard though, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep control of his knee. It's preference on what you do. You can do top side back of the knee or underside back of the knee. I prefer top side just because I can still pull and misdirect his knee down to the mat. I'm using my outside hand to scoop underneath over the shoelaces of his foot, and now I'm starting to shelf this leg. As soon as I shelf the leg, my heel is going to go from the near side hip to my shoelaces going to the far side hip. And now we're in an X guard positioning. Do not reset with your hips facing towards the ceiling. He's going to pressure up, or I'm sorry, he's going to posture up and stand, and we're going to start to work on his defenses. Even from here, you'll see the importance of being rotated down towards the mat. Now, when we're in this position, he's going to have to use one hand to try to grip fight my legs. Whereas if my hips are facing towards the ceiling, now he can use both, okay? So we don't want to be in this position. Kick the legs away and rotate down, and always stay in this position. Now from here, you can work your backside 50-50 attacks or look to wrestle up, okay? But it's going to be unlikely for someone just to be here and then step up the leg. So what I want your strategy to be is always be winning with your upper body grips. Get to 2-on-1s. Get him in compromised positions so where he feels like he has to stand up. And when he stands up, that's when we're going into the legs, okay? Don't get tunnel vision on the legs, because if I do here, he's going to be winning the upper body gripping, okay? Even if my leg locks are really good, it's not the best strategy to have, okay? So always be here, breaking down posture so that he feels like he has to stand up and get out of here. When he does that, I'm immediately going to the grip. I want your timing to be quick with that. We're here, go ahead, step into here, okay? Not staying in this position. We're getting single leg X by either pummel or shrimp. And either way, we're using that far hook to kick. Turns here, shelf. Now we're in X guard, okay? So win the upper body gripping. Next, we're into this position. Go ahead and step up. Shrink to here. But before I get to that single leg X position, if you get to here, you're pretty good, all right? Because this is going to be great framing to set up your X guard. If I'm into here, he preemptively knows what I'm doing, so he's going to be crowding me, okay? Pay attention to your knee, to your hip ratio. If my knee is below my hip, it's going to be hard to elevate Joel here. But I'm still going to be able to shrimp away and get to that position, okay? So he knows that. So what he's going to be doing is he's going to be grabbing collar ties and pressuring into me, because now, as you see, I don't have the mobility for that, but I have his weight loaded up, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do foot on the mat. I'm going to lift him overhead. As soon as he lets go of the collar tie or gets above me a little bit, I'm going to grab across lat post here. Now from here, I'm going to push off of him and spin perpendicular to Joel, okay? As I'm spinning perpendicular, this outside leg is coming in for my X guard positioning. Again, this is a no-no. I want to be down here. Rotated down towards the mat. That way I can shelf the leg. And now we can get into backside 50-50 or wrestle up, okay? So again, and here, steps up the leg. And on it, he's pressuring into me, okay? It's gonna be really hard. You can keep that knee down. It's gonna be really hard to lift him if his weight is back. That's why I say to pay attention to your knee reference. So I'm gonna try to lift him here. It's really hard, but look at the knee. Go ahead and grab me a little bit more and listen to my voice. You see, it's very easy, okay? So pushing off that cross lat post, getting into here, just keeping rotated down towards the mat. When you're going for your shelf grip, don't just do no hands in this, because he can literally backstep out of here. So have some control of your leg with your free hand as you're shelving here. And now we're into our attacks, which we'll go over another time. Okay? Never forget, always dominate with your upper body grips so that you put them in that crappy position. Okay?